Good day, everyone. This is Tiffany E. Kahayan, and I will now be explaining our real-life interpretation. First, let's have a quick recap. Inflation is considered a loss in the real value of money and is considered a rise in the general price level. So, for example, the amount of a certain type of rice that you can buy with 100 pesos differs in the month of June and July. What more if what you're comparing is years apart or decades apart? Due to inflation, this makes sense for two main reasons. First is that the price of the rice increased due to certain factors, and second is that the real value of money relating to its value adjusted for inflation, and therefore your purchasing power decreased, meaning that even though you had the same 100 peso bill, the amount that you can now buy with it is lower. And if what happens is otherwise, it is considered negative inflation, or in other words, deflation. The rate in change is expressed in percentage and is composed of increase in the prices of many goods and services, such as housing, food, fuel, transportation, and etc., having significant contributions. If the change in price is only for a few items, then it is simply an increase in the prices, but not necessarily inflation. Relating this to our current situation, we aren't only undergoing a pandemic but also an economic crisis. Due to lockdown restrictions, majority of the shops and places for recreation were asked to cut back people or customer capacity up to more than 90%, resulting to business shutdowns and total loss of income and jobs. Considering this with the additional trillions in the Philippine debt, we are all probably expecting na kailangan itong mabawi, and others might even be thinking that inflation is a solution here, since the demand is higher than the supply and yun naman talaga yung ginagawa if that's the case. But the problem here is that walang income yung mga tao. So, anong ipanggagastos natin if they set the prices too high? This is where the basis in the behavior of our graph comes in. We've observed and decided that the function of our graph is polynomial and its behavior is linear, since it accords with a straight line, and the reasoning just doesn't fit other forms of functional graphs. For it to be considered a healthy inflation rate, it needs to maintain a value of about 2%, which can be represented by y, or f of x, is equal to 2 out of 100. Deducing that our basis is a constant function which, even though not illustrated, is essential for financial regulators and those who are concerned with the changes in financial rate, which should probably be all of us given our current situation since we are having limited resources. As what can be observed, even though the inflation rate can be predicted, it cannot be fixed to an actual growth or decay over time. It cannot be said to consistently increase nor decrease infinitely, but it can have a fixed basis on how high or how low the values can be set. The values change every month, and if we look at it on a larger scale, it maintains its values between 1% and 3%, meaning that price changes are just gradual. For example, the cost of a liter of gasoline or a kilogram of rice can only go up or down a few cents or pesos, but cannot be subjected to a sudden 50 pesos then 80 pesos price hike, meaning that our inflation is still healthy and is still balanced, which is good. Now, the subjected inflation rate per month, or the headline inflation rates, are combined to form this what we call the year-to-date inflation rate, giving us the ability to compute for the general average of the year's progress, or in other words, the annual inflation rate. Overall, this means that the real value of money will continue to decrease over time, and the cost of goods and services will continue to rise, as the aggregate demand rises more rapidly than the economy's productive capacity. A 1,000 peso bill will consistently be worth much lower on the following decades compared to what can be purchased with it now, just like what has always been happening since the very start. But what can be observed as of the moment are substantial yet gradual changes, making it reasonable yet tolerable for both the economy and the people.